All right, welcome to Tuesday, October 17th market recap. So what you see on the screen right here, this remember was yesterday. This is, if you watch the video and I explain a plan and why that plan is, I'll show you what ended up happening and why it's important to have a plan and not to let emotions get ahead of you of like figuring out what the direction is. It's just, hey, you play support, you play resistance. That's the hardest thing when it comes to day trading is you're constantly having to flip short or long. And so it's situational awareness and understanding the bigger picture is where it allows you to know when to go short or when to go long. If some people only like to play short or some people like to play long, but if you do that, then you just have to know that you have to sit on your hands for a lot longer. But so anyways, yesterday, let's look at Friday. Remember I said Friday you had this consolidation pattern when you break out. I was looking for either a test and then push higher. It had strong momentum, so it ended up cracking the first hour. These are 30-minute candles with a 4-hour overlay candles. And this is your multi-day pivot. This is your previous week close, your bull pivot, your bear pivot, and then you have your fib levels, and this is your mid-range ATR. That's for your weekly. So the reason why the number of this line was drawn is because on Monday, you see that we ran up, but we could not make new highs from Friday. So we basically consolidated between this level and could not make new highs. So if you look, this is actually another consolidation play, just like this. And if this ends up breaking, that's why I had this plan. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. And so you want to see where we open, and then this would be your target, or down here, this would be your target. So this is the one thing I forgot to do is show you a little bit of technical analysis. But even if you didn't know this and you just sort of played with the timing rules and where we're at on the pivots when it comes to intraday, that's good enough to where you could succeed on today. But this just gives you more you learn about technical analysis. If you're new to this, more it'll help you have that situational awareness. So what I mean by that is if you look on Friday, you had this low, and you see this wick right here. That is technically your low, and then the candles close right there. So what I want to do is draw a box, and that's going to be your zone. So what I'm going to do is extend left or extend right. And so that's going to be a key element on where I want to see where there's support. So remember what happens when you have a major support or major resistance, and you could have a potential look below or look above and fail. And when that happens, it can get pretty violent. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how the day played out, and we'll walk you through it. I'm not going to have any kind of lines besides that support, so it gives you an idea of what you should be doing. Because I forgot to say, just because it doesn't open here or open here, there's other ways it can open that you will want to know what zone you're playing. I guess this might help you too. So when I say zones, I'm talking about this is your zone. So let's go back to taking this left and right extension. And so that's one zone. And let's look at the next zone. So this would have been possibly either right here is your zone or really down here, this is your zone. Because when you're in a consolidation pattern, this is what you're looking at. So if we go ahead and play out the day, you can see the morning session, and that's what all these lines are drawn. This is morning session, this is afternoon session. This right here was morning session, this was afternoon session. You see how pivotal this trend was, and it could not make highs? So let's take a look. What ended up happening that first 30 minutes? So let's go back to a smaller time frame and let's look at the intraday pivots, and we can sort of dissect on the rules that I'll reiterate how you need to be playing in your head in order to play like ATR strategy. So going over here, So you had this big gap down. And a lot of times with a big gap down, people get really emotional. They don't know which direction something's supposed to go. Like, is it going to be a gap fill or is it going to keep going? So you notice that the first like 15 minutes, that's why it's critical to just stay away the first 15 minutes or even the first half hour, which I always recommend. And it doesn't create bad habits of like getting in, getting out, getting in, getting out. So right here, you can see the first 15 minutes, there was a lot of consolidation, and then it ended up breaking, and then it actually broke that zone. But you see how it broke, and then the 30-minute candle closed. So at 9 o'clock, we were above the fib, and we were above that zone. So this was a look up below and fail. So that's why you had this violent move. And so you could have gone long right here, or you could have gone long right here. A lot of people want to keep shorting, and when you see a big candle, especially when it goes over a VWAP like this, the odds are that you're going to have a push. This is a lot of liquidity sweeping. So let's look at a Renko chart. So here you go. This is that fib right here, and this was your mid ATR. So this is the mid ATR, this is your fib and the zone. I should have drawn the zone here, but you see how it came down, came back up, it consolidated above this, and then it just ripped. So even if you miss this move, like this is the move you want to be looking for. So then from here, yes, this could have been a look above and fail, but that's why you want to be really careful of say shorting this, and you want to let things sort of play out, because see right here, this 5-minute candle actually closed solid above. Here, this is probably where the 5-minute candle closed. So this could fake you out on a Renko chart. But Renko charts are really good to sort of give you a sense of the momentum, how the candles are moving. But if you're playing a candlestick, because a lot of times you might have a wick and down, and it can really fake you out. But the key is not to overcomplicate. You're below a pivot, so it's resistance. The moment it's above, it's now support. So what do? You could have, once this popped back up right here, you could have been like, oh man, this is actually probably going to squeeze or go. Now this is support. So you could have chased and got in here with one contract, or waited for as much of a pullback and got in. But you're going to be risking to right here. So you're risking a potential 10 to 15 points. But what is the upside? 100 points. But you see how I didn't go all in one fell swoop. This was at 9:10, and it ended up around 9:40, 9:35. So this was almost about a 30-minute move, and you just had to hold. So a lot of times in the moment, you're looking at this and you're like, oh, push, I'm going to sell because it could come back down. But you want to look at the bigger picture, that you found support. You need to just sit on your hands. One contract right here to here is $2,000 in 30 minutes, and you didn't have to do a thing. You didn't have to scalp. Because imagine you got out here and then trying to find like a dip, and then it came back up here. You see how you're trying to get in, get out, get in, get out, and you're missing like the bigger picture. And a lot of times you'll end up missing this move, and then you start chasing, and then when it comes back down, you get stopped out, and you think, oh, it's going to keep going down. And then what ends up happening, it consolidates around this fib, and then it breaks out. And you can see it breaks out of that fib, because here's that candle. You see how it comes all the way up, and then it breaks over and then comes back down. That's what ends up happening right here. So you want to play this, get out, and then reassess. And the fact that this was a look above, you never want to assume after a big 100-point move, the odds are if it just keep pushing, you're probably going to have some kind of like consolidation, and you want to wait for a new time period. Look at this. This was 10 o'clock. So 9:30 is already played out. And so now you have this consolidation between the fib and the bull pivot, or this was the bear pivot. And really, you want to be targeting the breakdown. Target right here. That's my target. Like, the odds are of it stopping right here and then reversing, I mean, it's already proved that it doesn't want to go any lower. I mean, it should have came down and failed right here. But the fact that it pushed up this far, you want to anticipate that it's going to keep going. This is, if you look back at other videos, you'll see that this is your full ATR range. This right here is a full 250 point range. 250. Like, what is the range from here to -1 ATR? 262. So plus or minus 10 points. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna get accurate, but whether it's from here to here, whether it's from here to here, whether it's from, a lot of times you'll get it from the bull pivot down to the mid range. See how right here, that's 230. This is almost a full range right there. There's different ways of getting a full ATR depending on where it's at in the chart. Right here you had a gap up bull pivot to the fib and then consolidated. This wasn't a full range. This was basically a pivot to mid range, mid ATR range. But going back to today and how you play this is as simple as you get in, this is support, you get out. You wait, you see it consolidates. You could have waited until it broke a bat. See, this is where it's really challenging. Look how, see how it broke above, came back down hard. Broke above. So this, one could have looked at this as a look above and fail, and then a look above and fail, you know? And so you could have really got chopped out. That's why this right here is not necessarily easy to play, but that's why you want to revert back to those 5-minute candles that you see how it was a close above. And so that tells you that, that there's some strong movement there. See how this wasn't a close, and so that's why it came down. We had a close, and so there might be some more momentum upwards. Even though we closed below here, this was a look below and fail. So anyways, let's go back to the chart again. So now, remember also the other rule, 1030, if you haven't started to make new highs and you're below a pivot, then what do we end up doing? We're probably going to come back down. But look, at 1030, we're making new highs, and so it wants to complete that process. So what's the rule? Another rule, 12 o'clock, 12:30. Are we making new highs by the end of the period? No, we're exhausting. We're getting to resistance. You know, there's a lot of chop. This needed a bust through, and this needed to stay above here by 12 or 12:30. If this was above here, then absolutely I would be anticipating some kind of squeeze into the afternoon. But the fact that we opened at 12 o'clock below the previous day range, this is basically a look above and fail. A look above, a pivot, and then fail because it never came back up. So one could have got short right here. And again, that's sometimes difficult to spot because look, see how it was just choppy? It was a choppy trend day. That's why it's sometimes really hard to play this. But you see how we came above, and then at 12 o'clock, we came below. And this was your 12 o'clock look above and fail. And then now this is your afternoon session. You could have got in anywhere around here. And then what's your target? Your target is the next pivot. It took a while. This took about 30, 45 minutes, I believe. Let's see, from right here, this was 12 o'clock. And then it ended up getting down to the pivot, actually at 12:35. Look at that, right at 12:30. Right at 12:30 is when it snagged. And I didn't have patience. I got in and I was getting chopped around because I was also playing this. The moment you start playing too much, you lose focus on when the most important times you need to be looking. Look what happened here at 12 yesterday. Boom, dropped. Look what happened right here at 12:30. Boom, drop. You know, it could have gone up, but the point is 12:30 is when you're going to start having a lot of momentum coming back in the market. So what do? We go right into VWAP. Even though we broke, now you use this as resistance. But here's the thing: you have resistance and now support. So this is really challenging. This could be choppy until proven otherwise. I would have been looking for some kind of push here, and then I got short looking to have continuation down here for the afternoon. But the moment we did not break and we came back up, this tells me now we're losing that momentum to the downside. And sure enough, look, you had the higher low, and then boom, break above. So again, I'm not going to show you sort of that technical analysis on lines, but I'll show you the only thing I'm going to show you is this critical line that I've said for days and days and days is this 265 area. Look at this. Here, here, here. Look at that. Look at it bounce visually. Look how it goes. Support, support, support. Fail, and now it's resistance. Pop back up. Support, support, support. Boom. Now it's resistance. Pops back up. This was a look above. Fail. Now we're back below. And so that's why it was going to have a hard time. Look on a 30 minutes. You see how that candle is super red and blew right through that? That if it just came down a little bit and then the next candle came back above, then I would know that this is probably support. But the fact that it blew through, I knew that this was going to be a very, very strong resistance. And sure enough, that's what it ended up was for the rest of the afternoon, strong resistance. Didn't have enough momentum to go down. So what does that tell you? Look, you have, on a technical analysis per se, you have a double bottom, and now this is a higher low. And so it needs to hold this. So here you go. This is your zone. So let's go into tomorrow's plan. This is your zone. Real simple. You go above this 260 area and you hold. I mean, because you could have a faker up and then back down, and this candle doesn't close. These 30 minutes candles comes back above, then you're gonna, in the morning, you're gonna have momentum to the upside. And now this is basically a double bottom, a half back, and then where I would be looking for is this right here. So this was your full move. You see how the wick was down here, and this was your top. This was your half back. So if I actually go right here, I would not be surprised if tomorrow or Friday you end up coming back up here to the mid pivot. This could be tomorrow right here, and then they break out and they gap it up on Friday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. This could be Wednesday full move or Wednesday, Thursday full move, or what it might end up happening is they might end up coming back down, and this comes right here. There's cases where you have triple bottoms. If this triple bottoms and holds, say it comes down here tomorrow, and then say Thursday it comes back here, the odds are very, very, very likely that we're going to push and go out. So here's Wednesday, here's Thursday, and then here's Friday. So these are the zones. I don't want to predict because the move could happen tomorrow. So there's no reason to predict of what's going to happen. But all I know is I'm playing in the zone right here, these zones. I mean, I proved it to you yesterday. I drew this line, no magic wand, and look what it ended up doing. Dropping down to the zone, coming back up, dropping back down, dropping to the zone. So right now, this 250 or 265 area, remember 265 area, 260, 265, remember it's a zone. So zone is on a bigger time frame, you're looking at 20 points up, 20 points down. That's your zone. You want to use that. What could end up happening is tomorrow you could have a consolidation day. It could end up just staying right in here. Or you could end up coming all right here. Or you could end up coming right here. So what I would recommend is using this on a 30-minute increment, and then also use your intraday pivots as your support resistance. Are you above or below the bull pivot? Is this a mid-range play? There's three plays. You have a full ATR, you have your mid pivot play, and then you also have your box play. Remember, box play is anything in between a bull and bear pivot and the close. So technically what would end up happening is you see that we actually closed right here. So I would assume based upon the pivots will probably look like this. This might be your range tomorrow for a box play. So you could come back above, but it needs to close and it needs to have volume. You'll know when there's volume. And so don't be afraid to get in as long as you have candles that close. If you come back up and a candle closes and then comes back in here, that is not good, and it may end up tanking. So that's why you have to be nimble. I can't tell you, I can't predict the market. All I can do is sort of show you price action and what it does when it comes to patterns and consolidation that plays. But you have been warned that this right here is setting up for a potential continuation, because this right here, just this move right here, was a halfback, 118 points from the high to the low of the afternoon. So anything can happen, but just remember, if we end up coming back down here, it could triple bottom. It needs to have momentum. Like, ideally what I would want to see is a gap down below here, and then we would fail. But what we might end up having is one more day consolidation, and then a per se gap down and flush, or a gap up and flush. And this is Wednesday, this is Thursday. Actually, that's not right. This is Wednesday. That's a lot of time when you think about it. I'm sorry, these lines on a 30-minute are sessions. So this is your morning session, this is your afternoon session. This is Thursday. So tomorrow, it could be any of this. It could be in this box. So that's why it's critical to play your sessions, your morning session, your afternoon. Sorry, that's a lot of information. Trying to dumb it down and make it as simple as possible. But look, you see how simple this was? It's really critical to have patience. I mean, this took 30 minutes, of just sitting on your hands. This right here took a long time of sitting on your hands, and you could be chopped up. But you want to get in, in size appropriate. All you need is one contract. Right here is 290. Down here is 230. What is that? 60 points. What's 60 times 12? That's $1,200. One contract, if you would have held, is $1,200. That's good. That's good if you missed all this other stuff. But a lot of times what ends up happening is you get stopped out right here, and you have to have this make it back-itis, and a lot of motions come into play. So you have to just sort of really like focus and zero in between these levels. So, all right, well, good luck for the rest of the week, and I'll come back tomorrow.